To start, my name is Emma Brodzik. I work in the Office of Solid Waste Management and Recycling here at Georgia Tech. That's kind of a mouthful, but we manage multiple things across the full waste spectrum on campus. So we get to learn a lot about all of the different departments and components of the campus, which is really quite interesting. So I hope you guys enjoy this. And again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I was told I needed to include this QR code, so I hope it works for you guys to check in for the app for the week of welcome. So I'll leave this up for a little bit. Again, mention it in the chat if you guys need to see it again later for those who may be joining a little bit more slowly. Just let me know. And longer, just get your apps out. I know it's kind of weird to be meeting in these virtual settings, and right now I can only see a very small little window of myself, so I don't know exactly what it looks like for you guys, but I'm glad we could all get together and talk about this. It's really a great time to talk about sustainability on campus. We have President Cabrera, who's very interested and involved in that side of things, and seeing how the Institute will progress towards including more sustainability has been really interesting. I guess I can talk a little bit about myself. I have been at Georgia Tech for a little over a year now, so I'm not quite as new as you guys, but still learning a lot of different things about the campus. But I've really enjoyed my time. Before I came to Tech, I worked with a company that did similar waste management and recycling for commercial buildings. So somehow found myself in this industry, but it is really an interesting place, and especially being at Tech, being able to learn about so many different things going on campus. So I hope you guys are really excited to be here, even in this really strange season. So I hope everybody got a chance to check in. I'm going to move on with the presentation. So again, welcome to campus. I hope you guys are settling in. We have a lot of people that come to this campus, whether they're a student, faculty and staff member, or a visitor. We also have over 200 buildings, and as I describe what our office and crew does, you'll understand how that is a very large undertaking, but it is really the most interesting part of our job, I think, because we get to experience so many different people and so many different aspects at Georgia Tech, whether they're lab spaces, classrooms, offices. We get to learn about waste footprints and how we can help people divert from the landfill. And as you hear me say that term, it really just means any waste created, taking it away from the landfill, so sending it to the proper place for it to be recycled. So what is the Office of Solid Waste Management and Recycling? We maintain indoor and outdoor recycling stations. You may have already seen some of those. I hope you were able to take advantage of our move-in recycling, where we collect cardboard and styrofoam. We'll be keeping that going throughout this week and through the weekend, as we have another wave of move-in happening. So please take advantage of that. We also explore how to recycle non-traditional items, such as our plastic film recycling, and as I mentioned, the styrofoam. That has been a really large win for us, since that is not accepted in your typical recycling stream. We also manage the solid waste contract with our vendor. Our biggest one is waste management. I know that's a little bit confusing with the name of our office, but they are the vendor that services the dumpsters around campus, and we have numerous other vendors where we take some of our other materials, such as glass, tires, styrofoam. So we have a lot of different waste streams, and we seek places to take those items. We also have crew members. We have 8 members on our team, and they go through and service the interior of the campus, as well as monitor and collect in different outdoor spaces. So for you guys, as you move in and get situated, you'll start producing waste and recycling. So you will see the green and brown dumpsters outside of the residence halls. You may see some of these other roll-offs and compactors in different parts of the campus, but in housing, you'll typically take your trash to the brown dumpster and your recycling to the green. So we do have single stream recycling offered in the dormitories, and as we progress, you'll see the different materials that are accepted through that program. And I'm going to switch over to our map to showcase the different dumpster locations. So any of these green squares are dumpsters throughout the campus. Obviously for housing, you're going to be, if you're living on West Campus, you'll see the containers denoted with the squares. So you just take a little note of where those are. You may have already noticed them as you were moving in. The larger roll-offs that collect the bulk items, those will be removed. So if you're used to taking your trash down to one of those right now, you will need to locate the brown dumpsters. And here is the more eastern side of campus. So if you're in Towers and Glen along here, and then coming around near Britton Dining Hall. If you are in North Avenue, the recycling is on the back side of the parking deck. You will learn that you have the trash chutes in this building. So if you are living in North Avenue, your trash will go down a chute, but any of your recyclables you'll need to bring outside. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. All right, some do's and don'ts for the dumpsters. Be sure to bag your trash and remove it from your dorm in a timely manner. You don't want to have anything sitting there too long or creating smells or anything like that. We do want to encourage you to keep recycling unbagged. So if you
respectful చెప్పొచ్చు కదా.
All right, if you're not muted, please make sure you're muted during this. And then for your recycling, we want to keep those items out of a plastic bag. It makes them more valuable and better to collect for the recycling facility. So we encourage people to get a second bin and take that to dump their materials directly into that. Or reusable grocery bags are also really helpful, so you can just carry them downstairs, dump it out, and take it back upstairs. So be sure to sort your materials when you're in your room. It just makes it much more simple. Also, if you hate taking the trash out, taking the recyclables out really lightens the load, and you'll notice that you're going outside less often. So with that, I have some cheesy phrases. We do say twin the bin. So having two bins next to each other, one for trash and one for recycling, is quite helpful. And then, when in doubt, throw it out. So if you are unsure if something is recyclable or not, please avoid contaminating the recyclables and just place it in the trash. A couple others to keep in mind are some don'ts. So don't place any large items like furniture in those brown dumpsters. Right now, as you have some bulkier items, they can go in those bigger roll-offs that you would see at a construction site until those leave campus. But other than that, don't put any large items in those brown dumpsters. Make sure that you don't put trash in a recycling dumpster. So again, brown is for trash and green is for recycling. Don't park or leave your car in front of a dumpster. As you see the picture below, that is how the containers are serviced. So a large truck does need to pull up in front of those. They often come really early in the morning, so leaving your car somewhere can get in the way of that. Lastly, just make sure that the items go into the container. Don't just set them next to it. The trucks just come to service. They're not meant to clean up the area around the dumpsters. So to get into what is recyclable and what is not, I like to tell people your recycling container should be very clean so that if you reach your hands in it and dug around, you wouldn't feel dirty, gross, or anything like that. It should be all very clean containers. So the number one thing with that is making sure things are emptied of food or liquids before you put them into the recycling. So rigid plastic containers like water bottles or soda bottles, any type of mixed paper, whether it's a sticky note, some homework, lined paper, magazines, newspaper, anything like that can go in. Cardboard, aluminum cans, steel cans, the difference between that being like a beverage container and then a soup can or canned vegetable or something like that. And then we do collect glass on campus, and you'll see later in this presentation an example of that. But the glass is collected in a separate cart. So if you do have some glass items, be sure that those go into the small carts and not into the dumpsters. It just doesn't get recycled very well when it goes into those bigger trucks. It gets broken, so we directly take it to our glass vendor and it gets put right back into being an input for different industries in Georgia. So for landfill or any of your trash items, this is especially important right now. This wouldn't have been in the presentation a couple months ago, but any disposable PPE should always go into the trash. So if you have disposable face masks, gloves, those should go into the trash. Some of your other things would be anything that's soiled with food, whether that's wrappers, chip bags, paper towels and napkins, plastic film, so like your grocery bags, those just end up getting very tangled in a typical recycling system. I will note that we do collect plastic film in the post office at the Student Center Expo Hall. So if you start to collect packaging material and grocery bags, you can drop it off there, but please do not put it in the regular recycling stream. The same goes for styrofoam. We collect that in certain places on campus, but in your dorm recycling, it will not be accepted there. And then I want to touch back up to food waste. I will note the compost locations, but if you're not participating in the compost program, please make sure you're throwing that away instead of mixing it with your recycling. For those of you like me, just a few visual examples, just making sure everything is empty, clean, you wouldn't mind touching it, and then the glass, please separate that off to the side. So here what you'll see, and even in your progression throughout your time at Tech, so this is your typical residence hall setup. This is near Woodruff. So here are the brown dumpsters for trash. The green is for your single stream recycling, and then this cart right here is for glass. Throughout your time, you may end up living in different places. So if you do join a Greek organization, we do have recycling drop-offs in the Greek sector and collect the trash there, and again in the brown dumpsters. And if you ever move off campus, or even as an alumni, if you stay in Atlanta, we do have a community recycling station, and that is located off of 6th Street towards the back of the Greek sector. So we collect many different recyclable materials, including glass, which is very popular for Atlanta residents that may not have access to a glass program. We also collect clothing for donation, cardboard. So throughout your time, you'll always have a place to recycle on campus. So to go back to the composting, these are the locations kind of centrally located. So if you are in North Avenue, they are in certain trash rooms. If you're more on the East Campus side, they are located near the dumpsters by Howell, Cloudman, and Hanson. And then if you eventually or later in your career move to the Graduate Learning Center, you will be able to compost there as well. And compost is partially newer to our program, and it is in a partnership with Housing and Campus Services. So we are always looking to expand this, and in the future you may see more options for compost collection. Again, I've got another cheesy phrase for you: if it grows, it goes. So for compost, basically any type of food that has grown, like apple cores, banana peels, anything like that. We also do have certain places on campus that offer compostable serviceware. So if you dine at West Village and take that back home with you, you can drop those types of containers Just make sure you check the labels if you aren't familiar with what those may look like. Those can be dropped off in these Compost Now carts, which are what you will see in these locations. You'll see these small black roll carts, and you can just directly fill those up. Please don't put any trash bags or plastic bags in those. Just directly dump your compost materials into those. Other ways on campus to participate if you eventually find yourself in a lab, or maybe as a student worker, you'll probably see these blue containers, which we use for our paper recycling program. And I'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty of this on the next slide, but the program on campus is a source separated system, so we do keep our materials separate versus the single stream program that is in the dorms. So please do take note when you are on campus to pay attention to signage of which materials are going which places. We also recycle batteries through a partnership with Environmental Health and Safety. There are collection points at the Student Center, the Clough Undergraduate Learning Commons, and a couple other places around campus, West Village. So kind of stockpile your batteries and then take them with you to class, and you should be able to find somewhere to drop them off. And then, as I mentioned, our styrofoam collection does expand into lab spaces in EBB and IBB. So any of those coolers that come to the labs for different materials that they have shipped to them, we are able to collect those, and looking to expand that as we have had a large success with the program. We take it to another vendor, and they process the styrofoam and then take it to be used as an input for different landscaping materials and plastics that are used in outdoor spaces. So that's been a really successful program. And now to kind of get into the source separated and the importance of it. We do like to have the materials separated on the main campus. It helps us take them directly to a recycling facility as they're already sorted, and that helps us earn rebates. So oftentimes you hear people say, you know, there's no money in recycling, or there's a large problem with recycling, and often that comes from the contamination of people putting the wrong material in the recycling bin. So we do earn rebates for certain materials. We collect about 3 tons of paper and about 5 tons of cardboard every single week on the campus. So we have a lot of material, and when we take it directly to a facility, they are more inclined to, depending on the markets, give us, you know, some money back for those materials. To collect and housing, it's a really large undertaking, so we do single stream in those locations, but on the main campus, we do like to have everything separated out. It also helps keep things very clean and reduce confusion, especially when we have visitors come to campus that may not know what recycling is or what materials go where, since as you guys may be listening to this, you may have in mind of some materials that you recycle at home, wherever you're coming from, but maybe they're not accepted on campus, and vice versa. So that was one reason I was really excited about having this venue to talk to everybody, because different areas do accept different materials throughout the country. So to just touch on some of our resources, our website is recycle.gatech.edu. We do have a lot of different flyers and things that you can look through and really dive into the different materials that we collect. We are on Instagram, so I really encourage you guys right now, take your phones out and please give us a follow at recycle.gatech. We try to keep different things updated all the time and just keep people aware of the different programs we may have going on, or we're often really excited when different partners on campus reach out to us with different items that we can help them find a new home for. Our office is also very involved in Earth Day, which unfortunately this year was a virtual setup, but we typically have a really large tabling event that's really exciting in the spring semester in April. We do have game day recycling, which again this year is going to be a little bit different, but hopefully we'll be back soon. We do collect recycling at the stadium as well as from tailgaters. So that's always a really fun opportunity. We have volunteers and just let people know what we're doing on campus and get people involved in recycling. We also really enjoy whenever people have research projects and they reach out to us with different ideas on what they would like to learn about the waste industry or how waste works on campus. So feel free to reach out to us about those. We also have a newsletter, so if you check our website out, you can find where to sign up for our newsletter. That goes out once a month with different updates on what we have going on. Outside of our office, there are a lot of other ways to get involved. These were just a couple I had off the top of my head with partners we work with very closely. So the Office of Campus Sustainability obviously encompasses all portions of sustainability from energy, water, and then partnering with us on the waste side of things. They also offer a lot of different student programs. SGA has a sustainability committee, and we tested the plastic film recycling out with them, so that was really exciting. The Greek Sustainability Committee is also a great resource as we work to increase recycling in the Greek sector. And then Students Organizing for Sustainability is a really great club that you can join even as a freshman and get involved with them. They have a campus garden, and then they also work with us for different ways to increase student knowledge of recycling. So I will leave this up for a minute. If you have any further questions or more detailed interests, please feel free to reach out to me at my email or call our office. But I do want to switch back over to Blue Jean so we can check the chat. So I'm going to stop sharing this right now. All right, so the plastic film question, and I will kind of go over now that I'm closer to being back on my video. I do have some kind of show and tell items is what I like to call them. So plastic film is what you get at the grocery store as a grocery bag, or packing pillows, bubble wrap, anything that kind of stretches and you can poke your thumb through. These just get really tangled up in a recycling facility, so in single stream they are not accepted, but they can be recycled if they're collected separately, which kind of goes back to why we collect source separated materials on the main campus. So if you do collect items like this or mailers, Ziploc bags, as long as they're cleaned out, all of that can be dropped off. I know grocery bags is probably the largest one you'll see if you're not utilizing reusable bags. So those will be able to be dropped off at the Student Center Post Office, which is now on the second floor of the newly opened exposition hall. Some other items that you might have that will be landfills. So I have my trash can here will be food wrapper. So anything that comes in like a chip bag like this will be trash. If you have paper plates that have had food on them, those need to go in the trash. I know right now to-go food is really popular. It's quite difficult to eat in different restaurants, so styrofoam packaging, especially once it has food in it, needs to go in the trash. Here's my grocery bag, so if you're not going to be collecting this, you can, I came in a little late. Yes, this will be recorded, so I can post this to our website once I get the recording back if you would like. But if you have any questions, Camille, feel free to ask them right now. And then Starbucks paper, so paper cups like this need to go in the trash. They're actually lined with a thin plastic coating, so they're quite difficult to recycle. Small cutlery like this is also just doesn't make it through the large sorting process, so these need to go in the trash. So one big thing right now is, especially as many of the dining halls are offering more to-go systems, we do also just encourage trying to minimize your waste. So whenever you can use a reusable bottle, when you can use a reusable fork, if you know you're going to the dining hall to get food and take it back to your dorm, how can you minimize the waste even with some of the unavoidable items like having a clamshell of food, just refusing a fork or a straw to come back and use something in your dorm, as well as napkins, different wrappers. So like a granola bar wrapper will also be trash. And then again, any PPE items will also be trash. Yes, grocery bags do count as plastic film. So if you are collecting items like this, they can be taken to be dropped off either at a grocery store or now at the Student Center post office. But otherwise, they should go in the trash if you're not going to do a separate collection. So then to touch on what is recyclable, so I have my 2 bins, which I do encourage you guys to try to have 2 areas that you can collect either trash or recycling in your dorm. And then these items, you can see they're cleaned out, they're nice and clean. I don't mind having these items in here, and they can kind of be in your dorm. You don't have to worry about taking them out as often. They don't really have a smell or anything like that. So this is from some fruit, different types of bottles, aluminum cans, and then as I mentioned, all kinds of different types of paper will go into the single stream. It doesn't just have to be white office paper. And then lastly, collecting your glass, but making sure that you do put these in those separate roll carts that are next to the recycling dumpsters. So I'll just kind of let you guys ask any further questions you may have in the chat, or if you are curious about any materials, please let me know, or you may not know where to go at your dorm. Please feel free to ask. But if there aren't any further questions, you guys have my email. I will, oh, here is one. That is correct, James, yes. Plastic bags are not accepted in a single stream recycling. So please either collect them separately or unfortunately you'll have to throw them out. Again, this is one of those areas that we try to encourage people to think of different options. So using a reusable bag, but some of it I do know is unavoidable, especially the stuff that you may order online. Even like those bubble wrap Amazon packages, those will go into plastic film. So if you are collecting those separately, you can take them to be dropped off, but they cannot go in your dumpster outside of the dorms. Paper towels will be not recyclable, they are trash. Or if you are going to participate in composting, you can put your paper towels in compost, but they are to stay out of the recycling. Yep. All right, and I'm going to share, since we have a little bit more time, our webpage, just so you guys can see. Here it is. So we have some different updates. We participate in Recyclemania, which is a competition between different universities. Some of this is a little bit more staff focused for different programs that they can request containers for. But we do have information on what is collected, just if you have questions later on. Again, some of this is a little campus focused, just for staff-wise, but these items are also collected. We have information on, statistics, campus standards, our newsletters, our staff. So if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can go here and fill out this form to the right, as well as check back in with some of the older ones and see what our office has been up to. We do have information if you, oh, and these are the outdoor bins if you are walking throughout campus. this information on our drop-off location. And then we do have special programs so you can learn about Earth Day, Game Day recycling, composting. We've got some frequently asked questions, again, mainly about what is acceptable and what is not. Oftentimes we get the question about caps. Caps are fine, just put them back on top of the bottle. Here again is the plastic grocery bags. And then our contact. You may not see our office, and right now we're limiting things, but we are located over here off of 10th Street near Landscape Services and EBB. And you'll see our different recycling vehicles driving around campus. We have some large trucks that we collect our paper and cardboard in. So you guys will see us, so feel free to say hi. I'm going to go back just since I can't really see the chat. Yes, you can recycle that packaging, James. We typically tell people just separate the plastic from the paper so it can be sorted at the recycling facility once it arrives there. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining. Again, if you have any further questions, please feel free to email myself or our generic recycle email. Please follow us on Instagram. We'll try to share some of our more fun stuff that we have going on. And if you do ever find yourself wanting to be involved, I know I mentioned research projects. We have a student that's working on an app for us. We've had students in architecture borrow different materials from us, whether it's plastic cups, some of the plastic film we've been talking about, just to kind of tinker with. So definitely feel free, just because you might not be an environmental engineering major, there's still ways for you to connect with us. Please feel free to reach out. So thanks again, and please let me know if you have any questions. Bye.